that happens to you is meant to happen to you for a reason. There's a lesson in it. There's something you're supposed to learn from it.
So, the company you keep is very important.
I think what one realizes that if you stick to what you want to be, you learn to overcome the challenges that face you.
This is Dr. Triple O. Today's topic is Pathways to Success, Navigating the Journey. Today, I have 3 guests on the panel, and I think we're going to have a lovely discussion today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
These 3 individuals are all successful in their career and personal lives, and they have a lot to talk about. And I'm hoping that we can touch upon a lot of these points that I think are necessary for everyone's success out there. I'm going to start by introducing my distinguished guest, which I'm very, very glad to have today. On my left is Lisa. Lisa Corey graduated from high school at the age of 16 in Jamaica and migrated to the United States. After that, she's the first person in her family to graduate from college. She graduated cum laude from with Juris Doctorate degree. Early in her career, she served as a managing law clerk at the 15th Judicial Circuit in Palm Beach County, Florida, and also as a law clerk to the Honorable Matthew Stevenson at the 4th District Court of Appeal in West Palm Beach, Florida. Today, she serves as counsel and advises the world's largest generator of renewable energy and largest rate-regulated electric utility in the United States. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Next, on the far end is Wayne Jones. He's an healthcare executive serving as CEO of a busy multi-specialty surgical center. He graduated from Columbia University in New York and moved to Florida about 20 years ago. He has a wealth of experience, in fact, over 30 years of experience in the New York, Florida hospital and ambulatory care arena. He completed 2 internships in executive leadership. He's also served mentors for college students and high school students. Thank you, Wayne. And last but not least, Ricky Wade. Ricky is a McDonald's franchisee of 30 restaurants in Palm Beach, Martin, and St. Lucie counties. Mr. Wade's business presence and personal involvement enriches our local communities. He is the Vice President of the Ronald McDonald House Charities of South Florida. He is also a board member of several organizations, including Palm Beach State College, Urban League of Palm Beach County, the Honda Classic, and the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Association or Foundation. He has received numerous awards over the years, including Large Business Leader Award from the Black Chamber of Palm Beach County, highlighted by McDonald's Golden Arch Award given only to 1% of all McDonald's franchisees. He is also a recipient of Legacy Business Leadership Award. Thank you, Lisa, Ricky, and Wayne for being here to lead this discussion. And I'm sure you can share your personal experience with the audience. And I look forward to hear what you have to say. I'm going to start with Lisa. Lisa, you're the first one in your family to go to college. Where did you get your drive? I mean, what motivated you to be where you are today?
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Yemi, again for having me. When I think about my childhood, I would say my biggest inspiration were my parents. My dad used to share the story with me that he would have to walk to school barefooted. And it wasn't until he was about 12 years old before he was able to get a new pair of shoes. Both of my parents did not graduate from college, but they were by far the hardest working people I knew. By the time I left Jamaica at 16, my parents were very successful business people, despite the fact that they weren't highly educated. My dad was the champion farmer in Jamaica for several years in a row, back to back. He had a very successful, very large farming operation. My mom had a bakery where she was delivering goods and products across the island. They had a gas station. They had a jewelry store. They had several lines of businesses going, despite the fact that they weren't highly educated. But they taught me hard work. I had to go and work in the business every day. Even if I went out the night before, I knew that at 7 a.m. I had to get up and be at the bakery, work all day, and if I wanted to go out that night, on you, but you're gonna get up again and work in the bakery all day, lift bags of flour, work behind the cash register. I had to do every single role, but it taught me hard work. It taught me dedication, perseverance, and so I think those are the things that make me a strong and successful person today. Is just my work ethic. I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves. I'm not afraid to tackle a difficult matter. I mean, for me, I'm solution oriented, and if I see a problem, I'm on it about just on it like rice. I've just wet on rice. Just like it's all about coming up with solutions. So I think it's given me that entrepreneurial spirit, the tenacity, hard work, and those are the things that carry me through today.
Thank you, Lisa.
Sure.
Now, Ricky, you're a franchisee of 30 restaurants. I'm sitting here imagining at one point you had the first one. And what made you just keep going?
Well, like Lisa, but I first want to thank you for having me here and being around this group. And it's also good to know the group that I'm around makes it even better. But getting back to the question you asked me, I've always wanted to be in business for myself because I've always said you can get rich working for a company, you build wealth working for yourself. And I think it's also, when you think of drive, as you just asked Lisa earlier, and Lisa spoke to, you have to aspire to be something in life. And, my father left my mom when I was 8, and it forced me to take on a different role with the family. I have one brother and one sister, so I became their part-time dad and big brother, and I became my mom's son and her husband on many different occasions. And so it forced me to grow, it forced me to think differently. And I wanted to, in my opinion, the only way you can leave a legacy, and a really good legacy, is by being in total control of what you want to have and influence on or impact. And so when I got the opportunity to become a franchisee, I was the happiest man in the world because I worked for the company before. And so this gave me, it's almost like a springboard, and said, now the world's going to be my playground and I'm in total control of it. So, we started out first with 7 restaurants, which it was like just yesterday I'm thinking about it. I leveraged every single thing I had. I actually had no money left, none, 0. And so we had no choice but to make this and be successful at it. Because my family was banking on me, because I'm the Wade clan leader, so I had to lead the way. And, I've been blessed, I've been fortunate, I've been lucky. But the most important thing, I've been disciplined and very, very focused on what I want to get accomplished.
Thank you. Wayne, last but not the least. So, how was your journey? I mean, did you have a role model? What drives you to be great?
Well, starting off with what drives me, I would have to say is a fear of failure, that I want to prepare myself. One of the things I learned in graduate school was the 6 P's of administration. Prior proper planning prevents poor performance. And in growing up, my father only had a 3rd grade education. He was born in South Carolina, Charleston. And my mother was also from Charleston, South Carolina, and migrated to New York. And she had a 10th grade education. But they both wanted to make sure that I got an education when they moved to New York. And I noticed that what drove me to get into the healthcare field was that both my parents were sick. My father started out with a stroke and then had cancer. And then my mother also had a stroke aneurysm. And I spent a lot of time in the emergency department in the medical field. And that kind of drove me towards an interest in medicine. Watching what others may have thought was chaos inside of a hospital or an emergency room, I saw organized chaos. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to go into the medical field to help people to do that. So my first goal was really to be a trauma surgeon in emergency medicine. But life sometimes gets into the way. But I think what one realizes that if you stick to what you want to be, you learn to overcome the challenges that face you. So I wanted to stay in medical care, and I figured, okay, if I can't give the direct care like someone like yourself, Dr. Triple O, that or others like that, then I can actually control policy. I can control the organization. I can be in charge and make a change a different kind of way. So therefore, I went on to graduate school at Columbia University. And you have to prepare yourself for that. So yeah, you take your courses, you take your classes, you prepare for your GMATs, your GREs, whatever is required. You get into the school, and I found that once I got in there, and there weren't that many minorities within Columbia University at the time that I went, that the people you know are very important to your growth and opportunity. And as I began to do my internships, I began to associate more with different groups, whether it was a Jewish culture, whites, blacks, Hispanics, it could be anyone from any culture group or nationality. My education about cultural differences grew. So it grew within that medical field, and as I stated earlier, the challenges make you stronger, and you don't move ahead without some failure. Your failure makes you stronger because you learn from that, you learn how to grow from it, you learn how to overcome any future challenges that occur to you. So yeah, school can be tough, it could be hard, it could be tough going into a business world, not knowing where it's going to lead, or into legal, being the first one to graduate from college. But it also teaches you that you can survive anything that's out there, the more experiences that you have. So the motivation there was, for me, a fear of failure. Growing up in Harlem, I wanted to make sure I got the education that was going to take me where I wanted to go, and you immerse yourself. So yeah, in college, I was on the track team, and I was the worst track runner there was. You know, I'm running hurdles, and I'm knocking them down as opposed to going over them as much as I did. I joined a fraternity. I began to do volunteer work in the hospital, and I began to learn things. And then when moving down here to Florida, of course, well, I met my lovely wife back during my internship years while going through school. But when we moved to Florida, one of the first people I met was Ricky Wade. I had heard about a Ricky Wade, and that was the time when he had the 7, I think, McDonald's at the time. And I began to associate myself with friends who were actually very motivating, I would have to say. So if you ask me to some of the keys of what motivates you and gets you going, you prepare yourself with what is your goal that's going to be, and then you come up with a strategic plan. When I say strategic plan, I'll be a little bit more explicit in saying that. You can have a plan, but if you don't have a good strategy, forget about it, because you have nothing to execute to achieve what you want to be. When I came down here to Florida, and I had people like Ricky was very inspirational to me. And I think we kind of fed off of each other. The way that we met was kind of odd, because we were riding motorcycles.
Please don't share all of my history.
I can show you,
know,
some
they may
pictures.
think I'm Evel Knievel.
The bike you had was real loud. That's how I was able to find him, because we lived in a similar neighborhood. He started his bike, and I rode over and I introduced myself to him. Over the years, we became good friends, and he was inspirational in a sense to say, if I needed someone to talk to, similar to the group that's here, I know I can pick up that phone call and have, no matter how bad a day you can, they will motivate you in what you need to overcome because they've gone through similar experiences to that. So going back to what motivates me, I would have to say that I want to be successful, and in order to be that way, I associate it with myself, with the friends that are around you. Because you can have some pretty bad friends. Growing up in Harlem, I lost a lot of good friends who had died, who were shot, who did some sort of crime, but they died because of that. And certainly the price they paid was not worth the crime that was committed, or it was a bad place back then in Harlem. So then you start associating yourself with different kind of people, different types of friends, who then are inspirational to you and help you to move your plan going forward. I remember a night when Ricky, and this is the first time he's probably hearing about this, is that one part that really moved me was when he had to go to a function because he was moving up in his own area of business. And Ricky asked me, could I watch his kids for him? I said, wow, for someone to trust their children with me to watch them while he moved on to the different venues that he was as he grew up in his career, expanded himself, whether it was a fundraiser or what, he trusted me. I know there was a time when I had actually lost my job one time, and Ricky was there to introduce me into his market of business, which I didn't go for, but he was watching out for me as well. And Lisa, I know because of her husband, who's a physician, anesthesiologist, and I met Lisa, she's a lawyer. I feel comfortable that if I had a problem that come up, I can actually pick up that phone and give her a call. And the same thing with Dr. Triple O, a great friend of mine. Hopefully I never get what you're involved.
It's always bad.
And what I mean is that Dr. Triple O is an infectious disease doctor by training, but he's there that if I needed a physician or someone to consult with is there. So I think it's really important to always surround yourself with good people as you go up, either now through school or as you advance yourself in businesses. Engage yourself in people that's going to help move your program forward. I think I talked a lot of that.
That's okay. I mean, there is an old saying in Nigeria when I grew up
Yes.
that normally goats eat grass, right? And so
Who said no goat eat grass?
goats do eat grass.
Yes, okay.
Now, dogs, stray dogs will eat anything. Just like a homeless person will eat anything just to survive. So if you take if a goat start to hang out with a stray dog, before you know it, that goat will start eating crap because that's all that goat will know. So the company you keep is very important,
Yeah.
and I think that's the point you're trying to make.
Yeah.
And the other thing about failure, which I thought was fascinating, I was listening to someone one day, and if you were in the jungle and you see a lion in front of you, there's a fear of dying. So you run, right? But fear can also be a good thing. In that scenario, fear is good. But if you were offered a position in New York to get more money, but you may be sitting there going, if I take this job, I might fail at this job. That
And you don't do
fear
the
of
interview.
failure
Yeah.
Right.
will make you turn that job down.
Right.
So that's why it's important to understand, that the expansion on that topic.
I do want to say that I think that failure sometimes can be good.
Yeah.
Because I think you don't learn from something unless you have failed at it. And I think in any journey to be successful, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. And as long as you learn from the downs, I don't even like to use the word failure because I don't like it being in my vocabulary. So to me, it's something that you learn from. And if you really learn from it, you're not going to do it again if it wasn't working in your favor. And so, a kid falls down. When the kids learn to walk, they learn from that, but they get back up. It makes them walk better in the future. And so I think some failures, as you may relate to that word, is good as you continue to, to pursue your path to be successful.
Let me add to that, because basically what I'm hearing, and I agree with you on that part with the failure piece, and you're learning from it. I think another way of looking at it is how push yourself to your limit. So don't limit yourself here, or don't have the understanding that you're going to be afraid to do something because it's going to hurt. Well, hurt is a good thing. So you have to push yourself to that limit to find where your balance is at. How far can I actually go to be what I want to be? What is it going to take that's there? So yeah, you may not be good at something now, but you will be better at it if you stay with it. And yeah, there may be some setbacks, but how do you know your limit that you're going to go unless you actually test yourself to get there? And
Challenge is a good
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think the society we've, coined the word failure to bad,
Yeah.
and I think that's why people don't want to try something sometimes. You said it well. Failure. The real definition is when you fail at something, just show you the way not to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really not a bad thing.
No, you learn your limit
Correct. So
or how to
most people
overcome that.
now
Right.
get into this race. They want the starting line with 10 other people, and they're supposed to run a 100-meter dash. But because they're so fearful of failing, they don't even run. If you don't run the race, you can't win.
Yeah.
You have to participate to win. So
Right.
so it's very important. So I just thought I'd kind of elaborate on that topic. So moving on to the next question. This is for all of you. During your journey, did you have any failures, as we just talked about? And how do you handle that? And I think you already touched upon it a little bit. And what's your viewpoint on failure and success? Just to kind of touch upon that a little bit more.
Well, I'm going to yield to Lisa.
Well, similar to Ricky, I don't view anything as a failure or anything as I don't have any regrets about anything I've done in my life. With my kids, they both play soccer, and there are times that they're afraid to, hold the ball or dribble the ball or, possess it for a long time because they're afraid they might lose it. And, to your point, I tell them all the time, there's no such thing as a mistake, only opportunities to learn, right?
Correct.
You're never going to become better at being able to hold the ball and dribble it, shoot, unless you actually do it. And if you lose it, what do? Win it back, right? So there's always a way to fix it. And so, in my life, I've had many stumbles. I've had many things that I could have done differently, but I appreciate all of the struggle. I appreciate every bad thing that has happened, and I could sit here and go through a number of them. But each time any of those things happen, first of all, my philosophy is everything that happens to you is meant to happen to you for a reason. There's a lesson in it. There's something you're supposed to learn from it. There's something you're supposed to take from it. So I try to look for what I'm supposed to be learning out of that situation. What am I supposed to be taking away? What do I need to course correct? But never focus on what happened, right? It's about.
I like what you just said about course correct.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is because when we go out to try to do things and we fall down, as you're pointing out, I think a common thread here is an analysis. What I mean by analysis is that we tend to look back, okay, what could we have done better?
Right.
At what point did we go in the wrong direction? So that we are better prepared as to how do we not let that happen again,
Right.
or be better prepared for the future.
Right.
So in a sense, there are lessons to be learned is probably a good way of putting it.
Absolutely.
Through every experience that we go through, that doesn't translate into a failure, but is something that you add into your own equation now
Sure.
for success, that now I will move forward. And when that comes again, I know how to go around it, over it, or knock it down, but not stop
Sure.
at where it's going to put me at, so we can continue to move forward to better ourselves.
So I have another different spin. And, I heard Lisa speak to the fact that, you have to have an optimistic mindset in anything you do. I believe in contagious optimism. And because if you want to get something done, you have to approach with the right mindset. I also believe that opportunity knocks on everybody's door. Some of us, by nature of how we've been raised, we look at the difficulty and the opportunity first versus looking at the opportunity in the difficulty. And so when I think of that, you heard me say I don't like the word failure, because I really don't. I think that anything you do in life, and Lisa alluded to this earlier, you're going to have some setbacks. But some setbacks are meant for a reason.
Right.
Okay, and so when I look at that whole big picture, then I'm looking at the contagious optimism and looking for the opportunity and the difficulty. It leads to one path. I believe in big dreams. I do, and and I want to reflect. I know we're in Black History Month now, being February, but when Martin Luther King said back in 1960, "My dream is that everybody can be together, no segregation." People thought he was crazy. That was a very, very difficult dream. To some people say, well, did he think it may fail? No, he did not. He said that if I work hard at this and I get everybody to believe in the vision that I have, this can become a reality. And that's the reason why we're living the lives we're living today. So, I think about that. He gave his life for a cause. I mean, he just didn't get up and say, I'm going to get, assassinated. No. But he did give his life for a cause because he was bucking the system. He was going up against a lot of challenges. But he said, this can be done. So he had contagious optimism. He looked at the opportunity in the difficult times. And he said, let's keep dreaming. A big dream. Because most dreams are difficult. If they're not difficult, it's not a dream.
Thank you.
If you can dream it,
You
if
can,
you can believe it,
it can happen.
then you can do it.
Right.
Awesome.
Yes.
I knew this
Well
was going to be
said.
great.
Well said, Ricky.
Yeah.
Now, the next question is, what personality trait of yours you think is linked to your current success?
I always like to go with the lady first.
gosh.
Because I try to be a gentleman as many
Yeah.
times as I can.
Always Ricky.
Yeah, I think, at my core, I'm just an executor. And it's, in some instances, it can almost be a fault. Because sometimes I execute to the point of over-executing. But I'm just about getting stuff done. If I need to tackle something, I come up with a plan, writing it down, so I can understand, what I need to get accomplished, and then figure out how you accomplish each one of those things, and then I'm executing. Whatever I got to do. I'm calling people. I just at work, everybody knows. Project management, anything that needs to be managed, I'm on it. So I think that, and part of that too is just persistence, perseverance, not accepting no for an answer, questioning things when they don't make sense. Why do we have to do that if it doesn't make sense? Consistency, because that's part of, I think that the things I try to aspire for is being consistent at the things that I do in terms of my delivery and my product and, and how I present myself. And so I think, those are the things that I think also help me to be successful, because you can't get through life and law school and manage career and kids and all these things without being able to be organized around those things. So I think at a high level, those are the things that are my qualities that I think are the strongest.
Excellent.
So,
And we share the same birthday, by the way, so.
Well,
I'm gonna expect him to say the same
when you
thing.
ready for this, I was just going to say that. So, I'm a lion by birth, and I think that lions explore the jungle for a reason, because they protect their prides. You know, you said perseverance. Perseverance is the hard work you do when you get tired of doing the hard work you already did. You know, Newt Gingrich once said that, and I think you have to have a high level of confidence, and that's what I think drives me. There is nothing that I'm going to do that I'm not going to tackle it with a high level of confidence. Because if I don't have that confidence, how am I going to be able to execute it? You know, some people are born to lead, some are born to follow, and it's okay. You know, it doesn't mean that a follower is any less than a leader, but I think from my vantage point, I think that I was born to lead. I was born to create different things. I was born to shift, pivot, and do things a little bit different. And I think that creativity comes into play with that. But when you're confident, your creativity just continues to pour. Because you're thinking differently, you're looking for different ways. And I think the best part of that confidence is surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you. Surrounding yourself with people that are going to strengthen your weaknesses. Because, you know, I've always said that if you put a group of folks together, the success level is based on what everybody brings to the table. Okay, and so, you know, that's one of the things. And if you're going to be a leader, you know how to build a team. You know how to surround yourself with people that are going to make you come out smelling like a rose. I know Valentine's Day was yesterday, and I should have surrounded myself with more people yesterday because, you know, my wife asked me where were the roses. But anyway, but getting back to your question, though, confidence is what makes you accomplish anything in life.
Wayne?
For me, since they're talking about signs here, okay, I'm a Virgo.
You're pretty close to
Yes.
Leo, though.
Pretty close. And for us, it's more about planning and organization. I kind of approach everything I do that I only have one opportunity to get it right. And I want to get it right the first time. So in order for me to get it right, don't get me wrong. You can make some mistakes and you correct it along the course of that, you know, where you want to go. But I like to put a lot of planning in what I want to do to ultimately achieve my goal the first time. Sure, there's second chances, but if I can get it right the first time, there's less effort to get it right the second time. I'm moving in that direction. So I believe in planning, organization, strategy, looking at where I want to be and what it's going to take for me to get there, and what steps I take. And of course, as Ricky had said, you want to surround yourself with people who share the same ambition as what you do. If you're around, and this is, I have to take this going back into New York and growing up in the Harlem days, if you're around kids that want to fight or just play ball and do something like that, that's, you know, okay. But if you're going on, then you surround yourself with people who are, okay, they're going to spend some time in the library because you got this test coming up, and doing that, certain sacrifices there. So it goes back into that planning once again, an organization for me to look ahead and see where I want to be and what it's going to take to get there. Similar to, let's say, when I wanted to move to Florida. I'll just use a little example like that. Sat down with my wife. We were tired of shoveling snow in New York. We wanted to move on. And then coming down to Florida, we said we'd have to have a strategy. And we just said that both of us could not just pick up and leave our jobs and do it and hope that work is going to find us. So it took about a year of a transition. My wife came down with my son first. I flew down every other week. I continued working in New York so that one of us was working. When he got acclimated in school, she found a job. When she found a job, I started looking more closely and was fortunate enough to have 2 opportunities in doing that. But it was a transition to ensure that the family was stable, and it was both of us working together because we had a plan in place. So in following that plan, we executed it, and it worked out for us. And that's the way you kind of approach life. Plan it, execute what you feel is necessary to get you where you want to go. Ricky, as you said, you have confidence. As Lisa would say, you want to strive and make sure that you overcome what may be there and move forward.
It has been an interesting conversation. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but join us next week as we continue to navigate the journey to success.